I mean, at least Mira Jane tried. I didn't believe that she was really gonna stack up well against the Dragon Eaters. There's some people that got a little bit salty when I said that she couldn't really do anything against these guys, but let's be real quick, because we knew that these two were both far out of her reach after being able to give some real contending efforts to Gray and Natsu. I mean, really, what was Mira Jane going to do at this point? I mean, especially because she's not only weaker than both of them, but she's doing this in her the kind of like base Satan soul form. So I don't know why she's not in Citri, Halthus, Elegria, Sayla. She's got a lot of forms to jump into. I mean, she's probably got a new one or two that we haven't seen. I mean, here's Lizana with multiple new forms, Elfman in his fancy new lion form, but they still really couldn't do anything, because here's Mira Jane going in, she goes in for just like a normal kind of like clawing attack, and again, what a surprise to what I guessed what happened, that you have Scullion just kind of turning into ash. He's got that elemental intangibility and just dusts away. He doesn't seem to really take her that much of an effort. And even Elfman goes in to attack Madmol, goes in after, Madmol does, his palm strike, hits Mira Jane away. So I actually, I got in a little bit of a conversation with some people about it, because you can say like, oh, well, when Natsu punched Madmol and their attack struck, this fist bled, and here you have Mira Jane not bleeding. But Madmol he seems to have some pretty decent physical strength, but the highest thing obviously is that his durability. I was gonna say defensive capability, but durability also just as good. And you can see that again when Elfman punches the dude, and it does such damage, it literally forces him out of his lion form. He's back to normal base Elfman, and I wonder if he's going to try and go for a different form now, maybe try for something else. He doesn't really have much for any like hacks or special powers. The only one out of him that has any seemingly hacks would be Sayla Mira Jane, but I mean, she's not going to do much against the Dragon Eaters. And again, like, there's a huge gap between getting hit by Madmol and trying to hurt Madmol with just sheer force, because you're pretty much punching a wall at that point. And you go punch a brick wall, and there's a gap between, say, bumping into it and straight punching it as hard as you can. There's going to be a heavy gap. And here you see Elfman, power type guy. His fist isn't doing too good. Again, it literally forced him out of his form. He's back in his base one. So you probably shouldn't directly just punch Madmol. He didn't know, so you can't really blame him. And you're a physical fighter and you see a dude, you're going to go try and strike him. Unfortunately for him, that person he went to go strike is Madmol. So figure out a new strategy, Elfman. You're going to need it. And then Mira Jane still swapping attacks with Scullion. And she's going to all these different kind of melee attacks. Meanwhile, like little streams of Scullion's ash is hitting the ground, making like these ashen cavities, decaying, the area around him, which I thought was really cool. Just the way that it would affect the area and not just kind of like hit it and make like a crater, like, oh yeah, a little explosion or carving up the area. It was just like, it would hit it and rot it. It was that decay, just turning it into little, scrapples of dust. Mira Jane keeps going in. She's still trying. You think she'd figure it out. Ends up going to do some energy attack. And again, doesn't do anything. He's got an elemental body. You need to have something that can affect him, because intangibles obviously are very difficult. Elemental intangibilities, not the same full extent as a straight raw intangible, like what we're seeing with Wraith, but just throwing energy attacks is not going to work. You're going to need either a counter ability or some form of power that lets you attack them. As I was saying, like Sayla Mira Jane with her macro, because it's mind control, kind of like body manipulation. It's something that could work, but I don't see it working against Madmol. He's too much of a spot above her, because as it is right now, the strongest out of the Dragon Eaters are Scullion and honestly now Wraith. I have a little bit of a suspicion. I mean, I can't really call it a suspicion. A little bit of a theory that they're somehow related. because you have the body, the corpse, and the ghost of a dragon slayer. I'm wondering if maybe they were one person at some time. Again, it could easily not be the case, but it could be the case just because there's that coincidence. Or it's Hiramashima and Ueda really wanted to have some, spooky stuff for Halloween, which I also approve because, fun stuff. We get Halloween things. We got scary stuff going on this series. We got a corpse dragon and we got a ghost dragon going around doing things. Here's Lizana sneaking back in with a new form. She's got this kind of like Gorgon style. Would it be Gorgon? No, it'd be more like a Lamia, because Gorgons, they have the snake hair and turn stuff into stone. Lamias are just snake bodies. But she's wrapping up Lucy. Lucy's in a tight bind. Both in reality, I didn't mean to make a pun there, but yeah, she's in a tough situation because now she's facing a total of 5 enemies. 2 of them are on a different side, but she can't contend with them. And with Lizana got knocked out. She got tied up for a bit, but it looks like she got charged back up enough in order to get into the fight. And she's pretty much discussing how they have 2 kind of solutions to deal with people that oppose the White Doctrine. They either are going to kill them or they can convert them over and turn them into an ally. And she's now trying to mess with Lucy. I'm wondering if this is going to reveal something. I'm gonna talk about what I mean by that, because I want to combo it together with the end of the chapter. And I don't want to go into that until I get there. So, and then we get back to Kyria, who's fighting at Laxus. Again, now we have the Blade Dragon against the Lightning Dragon. I'm salty. Kyria, what the fuck? I've already been a little salty about your character, but why do you do this? I've been waiting for this Jalal-Laxus fight for more than 10 years, and yet you're getting in the damn way. And we've already got it teased once, and now we're getting teased again because this bitch decided to jump into the fray of things and really just interrupt. I mean, it was cool to see her own roar, because the Dragon Eater roars are very strange. Like, what would Mad Mole's be? Like, maybe Mad Mole's would be some form of, like, AoE harden, like when we saw him harden water when he was fighting Natsu. Maybe it's something like that, or maybe it'll just be like this big, forceful kind of like energy wave. It just feels like you're being hit by a brick wall, and it's just like concussive force, something like that. Understandable. And then at that point, Urza, when she's getting ready to steal the orb, or steal the crystal, you have Jalal actually use Bind Snake, which I don't think he's used since the Tower of Heaven. Like, this was more than a decade ago. That actually really surprised me. And I know that Ueda and Mishima are pulling out all this kind of like old references, or they're making sure to bringing stuff from like early in the series and kind of tying it back in. This gives me hope for one specific thing, and that is us finally seeing what Abyss Break does. Because Abyss Break got introduced in the Phantom Lord arc, it got teased again in the Tower of Heaven arc. We still haven't seen what Abyss Break does. It's kind of a similar situation to Genesis Zero, when we never got to see the full effect of what Genesis Zero does. They showed it in the anime, but then that wasn't canon. But then they had it do the same thing in the Starry Sky arc in the anime, which that arc is canon. So we found out, like pretty much pulls you into a pocket dimension and it will numb your mind until you're pretty much just trapped there and you cease thought, seemingly. Abyss Break, I mean, I don't understand why it would be hard to, like, show it. I assume it's just some big, like, elemental explosion. Like, it combines fire, water, earth, and air, and then does, like, a big attack. It's probably, I doubt it's some, like, weird, overly complicated spell, and yet you can't just show it. And for some reason, I mean, it's not important from any form of story aspect. It's just like you have this spell that existed since almost the first year of the series, because it showed up right when the Phantom Lord attacked. That was attacked Magnolia. That was around in the 50s, and yet we're collectively counting all the canon. I'm trying to think of like the anime only season, like the Starry Sky arc. I think it's like 25 episodes. It's probably around 50 chapters. You have all the spinoffs. I mean, really, like, you count all the canon material that ties into it, it's probably, it's been over 500 chapters. Oh no, 600, because I don't know why I said 500 for some reason. Anyway, it's been like 600 chapters total. He's got 545 chapters in the main series. You know, you got a canon anime arc, you got multiple spinoffs. You know, you just add all that up, and it's like, man, Abyss Break, when are we gonna finally see you active? Jalal just grabs Urza and runs off, and his plan is to dye her white. He wants to have her converted and bring her over to his side to be with him. It has that kind of like weird aspect of the white mage's brainwashing, because whereas you have something like straight mind control, I like the white mage's version because it reminds me a little bit of what's the guy's name from Bleach? Tsukishima, I think. He was one of the Fullbringers, and his Fullbring pretty much inserted him into your memories. I don't remember if it was your memories or your past, but you know, you pretty much make it so they would be the same person, but they had, you know, they acted like they were friends with this guy and they had like long ties to him. With the white mage, it's weird because they all have their same personalities, but they have like the white mage doctrine like inserted. It's not like just mind controlled zombies. They're their own characters. They still have like aspects about them, but no, they're not fully there. Like I just like the idea of like if you had like a description of their character and you just kind of like added in the text of being like a white mage follower in there. I'm gonna get back to Natsu, who's kind of like weirded out by Wraith. You know, he's talked about being a ghost. And so the thing that was confirmed, though, instead of it being like, oh yeah, I have ghost dragon slaying magic and this is an aspect, is he's straight dead. He's a ghost. He is a spirit, and he's mad because he hasn't found the person who killed him. He's still on the search for them. You know, he only can be seen by dragon slayers, which again, really, really good power, to be perfectly honest, because I imagine if you had some form of ability specifically to see spirits or something like pulling over to, you know, Jacob, you know, he could see the unseen with his stealth magic. That was just something that he added to it. Or you had something like, I don't know, any character that could see the dead, rather. This isn't the same as like, oh yeah, I'm invisible. It's an invisible power. Or some form of, you know, other intangibility. He's just straight a ghost. Now, he is broken because he can attack while being intangible and yet still be intangible. Like, and I mean, that it's just heavy, as well as he's got some soul manipulation, and he pretty much wants to consume Natsu's soul, get his power, and he's going to keep like eating dragons until he could find the person that took his took his life and gain revenge. Now, will that have any kind of like turning point? Maybe it will involve somebody in Diablos. Maybe it will be a new character. I'm very intrigued on that because I like Wraith's character. I like this little side plot that's been introduced for him specifically. And I really like the way his attack style, like this cool spirit kind of like outline silhouette on the ground below Natsu. It kind of looked like a Legion from Edelus. And now it comes up, bites into Natsu and makes all this like white flame, and you have like all these ghost faces within it. And then Wraith just causes all of them to explode, do soul-based attacks and damage, and then pull the soul out of Natsu's body. So, earlier I talked about with Lucy, and Lucy's whole thing going on with her, and the fact that she's being messed with by Lizana, she's constricted, and seemingly turning white. Now, if you've seen my theories involving the connection between Natsu and Lucy right now, it goes back into the Alvarez arc, Lucy messing with Natsu's book, the Book of E&D, and when all that kind of like weird E&D stuff went into her body, there's the very, very, I think, very strongly backed theory that the book is now connected to her. The living magic is now connected to Lucy, and that would obviously be one of the reasons that explained why when Zareth died, Natsu didn't die, because instead of it being the living magic being linked to Zareth, it was linked to Lucy. Now, there's also like signs that, you know, his Aetherius powers are still there. Like there were a lot of similarities between his Aetherius form that when he fought Greywith to the Aetherius, to the form that he had when he, you know, ate Igneous Flames. It was pretty much Dragon Force's Aetherius Force merged together. And now you have Natsu getting his soul pulled out of his body and, you know, seemingly being on the verge of consumption by Wraith. I'm fully expecting some E&D shenanigans, and there being some form of connection between Lucy and Natsu. I imagine maybe it'll be like he can feel Lucy's in trouble and maybe his like soul will change colors and maybe gain like that cool demonic symbol that his demon seed had. Maybe it will gain like some spooky face and take a new shape or force itself back in his body. Maybe it can't be eaten. Something kind of like Escanor in Seven Deadly Sins, when his soul was, attempted to be consumed and it pretty much burned the person who tried to eat it. Like something like that would make sense, just given that we know about Natsu, we know about its E&D stuff, we know about the level that he has. So the other one than that, like I can only see like maybe Gray showing up to help him, but really what can Gray do? I mean, Gray having the ability as a demon slayer to hurt an intangible spirit, I'd find believable. I would find, though, a much more likely kind of like situation where E&D stuff comes into play, and that is the reason why Natsu gets up rather than Gray coming in, because it would also lay out some new information over what's going on with Natsu and give some hype for the future too of his form and what exactly is going on with that, because we know that there's concerns on his part, like after the events against Mercephobia, because he was a little bit worried the fact that he didn't really remember, being in that state. He couldn't really remember the fight. And the fact that he was a bit out of control, Lucy got hurt because of him, not, in the fight, but specifically because of him. And, he's had some worry about it. Now, this could open a lot more doors, a lot more theories. And I know people will probably, like, there'll be some complaints. They'll be like, how can I do this? Like, well, one of the things that, you can easily explain, one of the things about E&D is the fact that he was made to counter Zareth. He was made to counter him. So as long as he's got like his E&D powers going, he should have ways of countering Zareth's abilities, including, soul fuckery. Because we know when you have like someone like Franmoth or Zareth's first description of his curse, it affects souls. So, could easily tie into this. We could easily tie into it. And plus, we know Natsu's fire, the extent goes beyond just burning normal things. It could burn concepts. So being able to affect a soul is completely within his reach. All I would ask is that Natsu, if you do some E&D shenanigans, please don't destroy Wraith. I actually really like Wraith. I would like it if his character maybe got converted over to the guild. The fact that he's actually fully dead and, he says he's not going to pass on until he finds this killer, though, kind of makes it a little hard, because I imagine by the end of it, he'll find out who killed him and, do his thing and then get to pass on to the next life. But anyway, fun stuff. Luckily, that we're getting weekly chapters now. Right now, for the next 10 chapters are going to be weekly, while Heroes is being released. I don't think that Oeda did it knowingly. I don't think it really matters, but he said 10 weeks, and that seems to be, just enough to fill up a volume for Heroes. So again, very, very believable. Plus, again, the dude who's writing, and well, I know Hiramashima does most of the stuff for 100 Years Quest in terms of story and the way it draws, but I mean, if he knows the number, I mean, I doubt he would just kind of go into this blindly. They have a plan. So his number is the most likely to go on. Unless they decide to extend it again, I don't know. But other than that, comment below. Tell me what you thought about this chapter. What's your theory of how Natsu's going to get out of this? Because there's no way that, like, Lucy's going to get converted and Natsu's soul is going to get consumed. There's going to be some shenanigans. The fact that they're both in these kind of, like, dire situations at the same time, and the focus is very heavily on them. I think that next chapter we'll see some form of, weird hype situation between them, because it hasn't been fully confirmed that they're connected, but this would be a good time to display that Natsu and Lucy are connected. Maybe they could feel each other in danger, and that would trigger something, like maybe Natsu's Aetherius powers will awaken, because again, he can't hurt Wraith right now, but with Aetherius powers and the way that we know how broken E&D is, then no, something fully believable, especially if he has like an Aetherius Dragon Force kind of moment like he did after eating the flames of Ingrid. But other than that, comment below, tell me what you thought about this chapter, and I'd really appreciate you thumbs up the video, but friend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. And I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.